Trump, how do you vote today?
Are you worried about what the voters might think?
The judge in Donald Trump's hush money trial dismissed dozens of potential jurors on Monday who said they could not impartially decide whether the former US president is guilty or innocent of criminal charges. On the first day of the historic criminal trial, the first to involve a former president, Justice Juan Merchan told nearly 100 prospective jurors they must set aside any biases or personal attitudes about the defendant or the case, including political orientation. At least 50 were dismissed after saying they could not be impartial in judging Trump, the 2024 Republican candidate for president. Others were excluded who said they could not serve for other reasons. I just couldn't do it, one prospective juror was heard to say outside the courtroom. Manhattan District Attorney Alvin Bragg, a Democrat, has charged Trump with falsifying records to cover up a $130,000 payment in the waning days of the 2016 presidential campaign to buy the silence of porn star Stormy Daniels about a 2006 sexual encounter she has said they had. Trump rails against judge after first day of criminal trial.
So thank you very much. We had some amazing things happen today. As you know, my son is graduating from high school, and it looks like the judge will not let me go to the graduation of my son, who's worked very, very hard. He's a great student. He's very proud of the fact that he did so well, and was looking forward for years to have graduation with his mother and father there. And it looks like the judge isn't going to allow me to escape this scam. It's a scam trial. If you read all of the legal pundits, all of the legal scholars today, there's not one that I see that said this is a case that should be brought or tried. It's a scam. It's a political witch hunt. It continues, and it continues forever. And we're not going to be given a fair trial. It's a very, very sad thing. In addition, as you know, next Thursday, we're before the United States Supreme Court on a very big hearing on immunity. And this is something that we've been waiting for a long time. And the judge, of course, is not going to allow us. He's a very conflicted judge, and he's not going to allow us to go to that. He won't allow me to leave here for a half a day, go to D.C. and go before the United States Supreme Court, because he thinks he's superior, I guess, to the Supreme Court. We got a real problem with this judge. We have a real problem with a lot of things having to do with this trial, including the DA, because you go right outside and people are being mugged and killed all day long, and he's sitting here all day with about 10 or 12 prosecutors over nothing, over what people say shouldn't be a trial. So I just want to thank you very much, but that I can't go to my son's graduation, or that I can't go to the United States Supreme Court, that I'm not in Georgia or Florida or North Carolina campaigning like I should be. It's perfect for the radical left Democrats. That's exactly what they want. This is about election interference. That's all it's about. Thank you very much.
Trump, 77, is required to attend the trial unless he seeks an exemption.
Are you planning on returning?
Wearing his signature blue suit and red tie, Trump watched from the defendant's table as prosecutors asked the judge to fine him and remind him he could go to jail for violating a gag order that bars him from interfering with potential witnesses. Prosecutors asked the judge to fine Trump $100,000 for each of 3 social media posts this month about Cohen and Daniels. The judge set April 23 to consider the proposed fines. Under gag order, Trump is barred from making public statements about witnesses concerning their potential testimony and about prosecutors, court staff, and their family members if the statements are meant to interfere with the case. Trump lawyers said Trump did not violate the gag order because he was responding to Daniels and Cohen.
Trump is subject to a gag order that prevents him from attacking the witnesses in the case or the parties. Now, there are some exceptions. Judge Merchan is excluded. Alvin Bragg is excluded, but the career prosecutors are not, and the witnesses in the case are not. Now, Just because there's an order doesn't mean the order has any meaning unless it's enforced. And Trump has been known to violate gag orders in previous cases. Judge Engoron in the civil fraud case fined Trump $5,000 and $10,000 for violating the gag order. That's not a lot of money for someone like Donald Trump. And today, apparently, prosecutors are asking for fines in the thousands of dollars as well. So unless a judge is going to take the unprecedented step of holding a former president in contempt or potentially jailing him, I expect these violations of the gag order to continue.
Trump, the businessman turned politician who served as president from 2017 to 2021, says he is being targeted by his potential enemies. This is political persecution, Trump said before entering the courtroom.
This is an assault on America. Nothing like this has ever happened before. There's never been anything like it. Every legal scholar said this case is nonsense. It should never have been brought. It doesn't deserve anything like this. There is no case, and they've said it. People that don't necessarily follow or like Donald Trump said this is an outrage that this case was brought. This is political persecution. This is a persecution like never before. Nobody's ever seen anything like it. And again, it's a case that should have never been brought. It's an assault on America. And that's why I'm very proud to be here. This is an assault on our country. And it's a country that's failing. It's a country that's run by an incompetent man who's very much involved in this case. This is really an attack on a political opponent. That's all it is. So I'm very honored to be here. Thank you very much.
Trump's former lawyer and fixer Michael Cohen has testified that he made the payments to buy Daniels' silence ahead of the 2016 election in which Trump defeated Democrat Hillary Clinton. Trump has denied any such relationship with Daniels and has pleaded not guilty. Many prospective panelists stretched their necks to get a look at Trump from their seats in the New York City courtroom. Lawyers from both sides will seek to impanel 12 jurors and 6 alternates to hear what could be the only criminal case Trump faces before the November 5 election. Choosing a jury from a pool of people from heavily Democratic Manhattan could take several days, to be followed by opening statements and testimony from a parade of potentially riveting witnesses, including Cohen and Daniels.
Jury selection is not going to be easy in this case. Judge Merchant is probably going to go through maybe hundreds of jurors to find 12 who can be fair and impartial. Everyone in this country has an opinion of the former president. Some think he's a criminal and an insurrectionist. Others think he's a hero who's being treated unfairly and railroaded by our criminal justice system. To find 12 who can put those feelings aside and come into this courtroom and decide the case solely on the facts and evidence in this case is no easy task. Judge Merchant's daughter has been involved in Democratic circles, but it really doesn't matter what a judge's family member does. Look no further than Justice Clarence Thomas and what his wife Ginny has done. If family members were a basis to get a judge removed or disqualified, judges would be getting removed all over the country. It's the judge's own biases or appearances of biases that matter, not that of family members.
The judge said that in order to convict, jurors must find that Trump is guilty beyond a reasonable doubt, not that he is probably guilty. Falsifying business records in New York in a felony punishable by up to 4 years in prison, though many of those found guilty have been sentenced to fines or probation.
Even though Trump is facing the possibility of jail time, I think it's unlikely. These are not serious felonies under New York law, if they're even felonies. The district attorney's office has to prove that the false business records were in furtherance of or to cover up another crime. That's why you're hearing discussion of a potential campaign finance violation or tax evasion. But if Trump just made the payments to save his himself and his family from embarrassment, that's just a misdemeanor. So even if Trump is convicted in this case, even if he's convicted of a felony, I think it's very unlikely he gets any prison time.
Trump has said he plans to testify in his own defense, a risky move that could open him to cross-examination.
Trump doesn't have to testify, but I think he will testify. He testified in the New York civil fraud case, and this case is as much for the courtroom as it is for the court of public opinion. And Trump is in the middle of an election year, and he will take the stand and he will talk to the American people and those undecided voters. I think him asserting his right to remain silent, I think that will be used against him by undecided voters. There's a small subset of undecided voters. Trump is so polarizing that most Americans are either for or against him. But I think for that small subset, I think many of them will be turned off if he is a convicted felon, even if he's not incarcerated. I mean, being a felon is a scarlet letter here in the United States. You can't own a firearm, you can't vote in many states. So I think that's something that will potentially make a difference in this election, especially if Trump takes the stands and he perjures himself and people don't believe him. It may end up costing him the election.
A guilty verdict would not bar Trump from office, but half of independent voters and 1 in 4 Republicans say they would not vote for him if he were convicted, according to a Reuters poll.